Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. I'm out of the shoe. And, for the most part, even though there's chaos and all this other stuff that goes around, that's happening around us, happening with us, and all the politics and stuff that we deal with in a penitentiary, when I say we, like me and my homies, the Asians, Islanders, we always try to find a way to create a bond, to create a unity. And part of the things in doing that is just coming together for activities, whether we're, making a potluck where everybody makes some food and all that stuff and bring it out to the compound and we can eat and kick it on the yard, or whether we have an activity set up just for us to gel together. Because for me, I believe it's important to create a camaraderie between the people around you, because these are the people that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The environment that we live in is very hostile. I use the term sometimes when I'm talking about and sharing stories is that we're behind enemy lines. And we are literally behind enemy lines, because you have everybody from rival gang members from different races that hate each other, all in a box, forced to coexist. And we insert rules and politics in place so that it can help us coexist to the best of our ability. Of course, it doesn't always work, more often than not. But for me, through the history of my incarceration, when I first came into the feds, the Asians and the Islanders weren't really a unified front. Even amongst the Polynesians, the Islanders, Hawaiians, Samoans, Tongans, and others, they even break off into their own little groups, like Samoans hang with Samoans, Hawaiians hang with Hawaiians. And if anybody knows the history of the Islanders coming from Hawaii, they know that all of them back on the islands beef. Samoans and Hawaiians don't like each other. So when they come into the system and they're forced through circumstances to get along, to be part of the same car, yeah, on the surface, looking out, people might see that we're a unified group. But within our own organization, within our own car, there's animosity between them. Same thing with the Asians. Anybody know the history of Asians, that throughout this country, especially here in America, we have different gangs: Laos gang, Cambodian gangs, Vietnamese gang. And we beef against each other, and we've killed each other. And it's not even necessary that we knew each other from the street or not. Growing up, being Cambodian, I've always had brought up to not trust or like Vietnamese. And I'm sure it's vice versa with the different Asian groups, with the Vietnamese as opposed to us and Laos and everybody. Because here back in the 90s, my hood is consistent of Cambodians and Laos. And we were beefing with the Vietnamese. But down south in San Diego, California, the Vietnamese and the Cambodians had an alliance against the Laos. So it's different things in different places for different people, depending on who's running the gang or the circumstances happening in their environment. Well, when you grow up like that, having a certain stigma or animosity towards a certain group of people, you carry that with you. It's not easy to shake off when you've been conditioned like that your whole entire life. So when you come into the system, the Asian groups that I've been around with were Vietnamese, Chinese, a couple of Koreans, Cambodians, Filipinos. And, when I was in Lompoc, when I was in Victorville, they had a bigger Vietnamese community than the rest of us. And they'd always find a way to just hang out with themselves. And, me being there, understanding that, hey, sooner or later, we're going to get ourselves caught up in an incident, and these are the people around us that we're going to rely on to have our back. But how can you feel confident or even in the right frame of mind to put yourself on the line with dudes that, when everything is good and normal, don't even really fuck with you? Same thing with the Chinese. When I was in Victorville, the Chinese and the Vietnamese, when they drank, when they party, whatever, they were just them in their little spot, in their little corner. They didn't invite me into any of those parties, any of those activities or whatever they were doing. But every single time something happened, every one time one of them had an issue, they'd come to me and ask me to mediate and ask me to figure it out for them. Oh, can you go talk to this dude? Can you go talk to that dude? And for my part, I'm going to do it every single time, because it's not because I like these individuals or not, but out because these are Asian Islanders and we're lumped into the same category. We're perceived as the same car. So for me, if another race or whoever comes and violates a homie or disrespect them or whatever, that's like violating me and disrespecting me. Because if I allow another race to extort one of my peoples, then other people's going to think that they're able to do that, not just to that individual, but to the rest of us. So part of me always be willing to help and mediate or whatever when asked is because I have pride in who I am, in the car that I run, the Asian Islander, and I want it understood that, at least for me, I'm not just going to be standing around and allowing all these extra goofy shit to happen. Like part of the story that I want to share with you today is we had an incident with when I was in Victorville. I know we're in Atwater right now, so I'm just going to go back and forth just to explain, the things that goes on amongst us on our daily lives. I'm in a unit. I'm in a unit, and somebody comes in, one of the homie comes in, and I'm going to omit their names and stuff because, they're good homies, and even though I disagree how they deal with certain things or what, I don't want to put them out there because I don't have no animosity towards them or anything. So I'm just going to explain an incident or share with you an incident that happened with me and the Samoan guy. The Samoan guy, he comes from, well, I don't know exactly where he came from, but he told us that he did time in San Quentin and Pelican Bay. So he came over there, and he's a big guy. So he comes over there with the attitude like he was the shit. Like he could do what he wanted. Well, on this particular day, one of the Chinese homie out of New York was sucking on a lollipop, walking around with a lollipop in his mouth. And the Samoan dude comes to snatch the lollipop out of his mouth, takes it, puts it in his mouth, and walks off. When I'm at rec, the homie Masanaga tells me about it. Masanaga is Japanese Hawaiian from Hawaii. He tells me about the incident that happened. I'm not going to insert myself in everything and every little thing. But, of course, that didn't sit well with me just because of the perception that other people might have because there's no secrets in the penitentiary. There's no secrets in high school. There's no secrets in your workplace. Everybody likes to gossip. We're all freaking bunch of OK and Us Weekly magazines. That's why they sell so much. Everybody loves rumors. Everybody loves gossip. So they tell me the information. I received the information and I put it away. I never really thought to think anything of it. But the very next day, I live in 2A in Victorville. I'm standing in front of 2B, which is right across from it, waiting for my poker chips because I had the homie Brian, this Chinese guy from California. This is the different from Brian Chan from Green Dragon. But Brian, he's out of California. He's Chinese, and he was running my poker table the day before for me in the indoor rec. So it is right after lunch. So I go to his unit to wait for my poker chips. Well, while I'm waiting for my poker chips, the Samoan dude that we're discussing at this moment is standing behind me talking to two black dudes, goofing around, joking between two black dudes. And then he tells them that what he did to this other Chinese kid out of New York. Yeah, man, I just went over there and fucking snatched that shit out of his mouth and blah, 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 right? Like he's boasting about it. You know, me, I'm the person that's always going to speak my mind. And sometimes I don't hold my tongue when it comes to situations like this. But I always speak my mind when I'm willing to see it through. You know, I've always told people repeatedly when they come into the system, mind your P's and Q's, mind your business. Because if you insert yourself, you better be willing to go where it takes you. Let's just say, for example, if you got two people arguing about something that ain't got nothing to do with you, and you come along and you put in your 2 cents, and then one of them turns around and tell you, man, shut the fuck up. What are you gonna do? You gonna shut the fuck up? Well, if you're gonna shut your mouth, then why do you open it in the first place? For me and everybody around me knows, if I speak on a subject, then I'm gonna see it through. So if I insert myself and put my 2 cents in a dispute or in an argument, and one of them turns around and tells me to shut the fuck up, I'm not gonna shut the fuck up. So what do you want to do? That's my attitude. Yeah, I've inserted myself. This is what I've said already. So if you don't like it, what do you want to do? But I don't get myself in that situation too often because I mind my P's and Q's. But on this particular incident, the reason I spoke up is because he was clowning about it to a different race, to a different car. And from my aspect is that if they hear that he's doing this to one of the Asian homies, they might take it upon themselves to think that they can do it too. And if they do it too, it's gonna be a big old wreck. So when he was done clowning with the black dudes over there in front of 2B, I stepped to him, pulled him aside. I said, hey, Us, hey, Sole. You know, Sole is like brother, homie in Samoan. I said, hey, Sole. I said, hey, man, that shit ain't cool. He said, what? I said, what you just said over there? That shit ain't cool. You sitting here telling the dudes how you disrespect the homie. Well, if they feel like they can disrespect the homie too, that's gonna cost us a problem. And the Samoan dude was like, what the fuck you say to me? Man, don't you know I'll knock your head off your shoulder? And don't ever fucking try to check me. You know, right there and then, there's a CO that's standing by the door because this is a 10-minute move. This is right after lunch. I'm over there trying to get my poker chips to go to rec. So there's a CO right there. And even at the same time, this dude's about 3 times my size. So me, when I get into an incident, I want to ensure the best way for me to survive it. I want to ensure that I put myself in the best position to succeed. At this time, I know if I just take off on him, I'm probably not going to win. I'm probably not going to get the better of him. So I let it go. The homie came out with my poker chips. I grabbed my poker chips and I left. But I'm not letting it go. So the next move is recall, because I'm going to stay out there in the rec place and run my poker table till 3:30. 4 o'clock is count. We come back in, we lock down for count. When we lock down for count, I go get my knife. No. Sorry. It's been a while, but we locked down for count. I tell my friend Kojo that I mentioned in the last video, me and him were cellies at the time. And I explained to him what had happened. And he was like, hey, it's like, you know, the dude's bigger than me. And in Victorville at the time we were living there was a division between the Islanders and Asians. Yeah, we were kind of one car, but we weren't. You know, there was a lot of stuff that was going on with the Islanders that I didn't like. But they never brought it to me. They always did little grimy shit over here to this Asian dude or to that Asian dude, but they never jumped out there and tried to, you know, do anything with me. And at the same time, like I told you, the Vietnamese and the Chinese that was there, they all powwow amongst themselves when they partied and all this stuff. And the only time they came to talk to me was when there was a problem. So after Chow, well, Kojo asked me if I needed him to come with me because the dude's bigger and because of the potential group, the other Asians and the other Islanders jumping in. But, you know, this is my problem. I told him, nah, thank you. I appreciate it, but I need a knife. Because at the time, for whatever reason, I didn't have one. So when they called Chow, they called his unit first, 2B. They ended up calling my unit last, 2A. But I didn't go to Chow. I went right into the rec cage, yard 3. You know, there's 3 yards. Victorville is built like a rectangle with the units around it, creating the wall in 3 yards, split up, fenced up in the middle. Yard 3 under the pavilion is where all the Asians and Islanders congregate after Chow. So that's where I went to go wait for him. So I went over there while they were in Chow. And I can see the Chow hall from where I'm sitting. So as I'm waiting, I see everybody coming out of Chow hall except for the Islanders. Like a couple of Asian homies came through because I guess they were already in the Chow hall speaking about it. The Samoan dude brought it up to the other Islanders. So a couple of Asian homies like, man, what's going on? What's going on with you and so-and-so? I was like, shit, ain't nothing. When he comes out, I'm going to holler at him. And, you know, they're stuck between a hard place and a rock. I guess that's the terminology because, 1, we're all homies. 2, these dudes that came over here to talk to me, they really fuck with me, but they don't know how to insert themselves in the situation between me and this Samoan dude. So while I'm sitting there, the blood homie, Chucky Brim, out of LA, somewhere in California. I'm sorry if I got your hood, if I don't know where you're from out of Cali, homie. But Chucky Brim, he's a blood. And he's one of my close friends. And he informed me, well, the other bloods, Don D and Foots and Puru, you know, prior to this, then, you know, they came and hollered at me about their little meeting with Chucky Brim. And Chucky Brim told him, hey, you know, because politics is politics. You don't insert yourself outside the group. If it ain't got nothing to do, so Chucky Brim's a blood. If it ain't blood business, then you stay out of it. But Chucky Brim, when they were having the meeting, said, hey, man, yeah, I'm going to respect the politics, but if something goes down with Mesa, I'm having his back, period. And I'll deal with the consequences. But, you know, Chucky, he's respected within the Bloods. So all the other Bloods around him, you know, they came and told me, he's like, man, Chucky really fuck with you. He said, man, if you go, he going to go. And, you know, if Chucky go, we going to go. So you already know you got all the blood called behind you. And I appreciate that. I didn't know how to receive that information, but it showed me that this is really my friend, not just somebody that we say hi and bye to. But anyway, so at the end of the day, or at the end of the Chow, they finally come out. All the Islanders come out. And while they're coming out, they don't come to yard 3 where I'm waiting for them. They go to yard 2. So when they go into yard 2 where the basketball court is, I take it upon myself to walk over there. But before they came out, Chucky Brim had came and asked me about what was going on. Because, you know, like I said, there's no secrets in the penitentiary. A couple dudes that was outside standing in front of the unit earlier, seeing the back and forth that me and dude had in front of the block. So word's already out. So Chucky Brim comes like, man, what's up, man? What can I do, man? I said, I got you. I said, nah, I'm cool, homie. I don't need none. You got a knife? He said, yeah, I got one. No hesitation, Chucky Brim slid me his piece. So I got his piece in my pocket. You know, the piece, it's about this big. It's got the, you know, it's got the string on it to slip over your wrist. I can't fight this dude. I have no intention of fighting this dude. But he says he wants to knock my head off my shoulder, so I'm gonna go see and give him an opportunity. So I go out of yard 3 and walk into yard 2. While as I'm walking towards the dude, 2 Islanders approach me, Johnny and Yano. Yano was the one I end up stabbing up later on before, that's how I left Victorville. But this is before that. And me and him, we already had an ongoing disagreement on something, so there was no love lost there. But at the same time, like, no matter how they were feeling about me, they weren't really trying to jump out there because they know I'm gonna handle my business. So Johnny and Yano approached me. They're like, what's up? I said, what's up? He's like, hey man, you got a knife with you? I said, yeah, I got a knife with me. He goes, what are you doing with a knife? Why are you trying to bring a knife to a homie? I said, what homie? He said, the Sole, why are you trying to bring a knife to the homie? I said, that bitch motherfucker ain't my homeboy. He wants to knock my head off my shoulder. I want to give him an opportunity. Like, oh, you can't bring no knife to the homie. You know what I mean? If you wanna go heads up with him, I'll arrange it. We can go in a cell and you and him can go one-on-one. Like, that's gotta be the stupidest thing I could have heard, right? This dude is 6'2", 6'3", 260, 70 plus. I'm 5'5", $140. So I would be stupid to try to go lock up in a cell with him and go heads up. And I pride myself on not being so stupid. I'm like, nah, we don't need to do that. But we can go in a room and he can bring his knife and I'll bring mine. But I'm not fighting him hands up. I'm trying to butcher him. He wants to knock his head off my shoulder. He wants to knock my head off my shoulder. I want to give him that opportunity. So as we were talking, Kojo was out there, my cellie, you know, the Muslim guy Muslim man that I was telling you about earlier in a prior episode. So he's well respected. He's not just respected in the Muslim community. He's well respected amongst all the blacks. That's Crips, Blood, GDs, whatever. He's respected amongst the Mexicans. He's respected amongst the whites. They know about this man. They know this man is as serious as it comes. But they also know him to be a man of integrity. Him being my cellie, I didn't ask him to insert himself in my business, but he took it upon himself to do so. So he's over there talking to the Samoan dude. So the Samoan dude, whatever conversation, I wasn't privy to it and I never asked about it. The Samoan dude breaks off from talking to Kojo, comes over to where we're at. He's like, hey man, listen man, I'm cool, man, I'm good. You know, he starts copping deuces. It's like, man, I'm good, but you shouldn't be having another race in our business. I said, homie, that's my cellie. And he ain't in our business. They ain't got nothing to do with him or anybody else. It's got to do with me and you. You want to knock my head off my shoulder? I'm trying to give you an opportunity. What's up? And he was like, nah, man, we're good, man. We're cool. You know, everything's just a misunderstanding. I said, nah, ain't no misunderstanding. You walking around here like you some big dude, tough dude, fucking trying to punk the homies and shit. That shit ain't cool, homie. He's like, oh, why are you trying to stick up for people that... I say, man, it's not about sticking up for people. It's about what you're doing and the perception that you're presenting to the rest of the yard because you think you're a fucking bully. You know, at the end of the day, he didn't want none. I guess he really didn't come from San Quentin or Pelican Bay. But, you know, he was one of them dudes that try to oppose his size or his pedigree. Oh, I've been here, I've been that. Like, that makes him, that he thinks that by putting out his resume of where he's been or because he's big, that's going to make people look at him like, ooh, this is a big, tough guy. I'm telling you right now, in a penitentiary, nobody gives a fuck who you are, what you've done, how much money you have, or how big you are. When it's time to go, they're going to find a way to chop you down to your size and put you in your place. That's why I've always conducted myself with respect. I'm always respectful to everybody. I'm always courteous to everybody because there's no need to create that energy if it's unnecessary. You know, and then when that energy comes, when something needs to get dealt with, I don't have no choice but to deal with it. It's not something that I enjoy. It's not something that I look forward to or anything. It's just like, damn, you're gonna make me do this to you because you want to be a freaking douchebag? And that was the situation I was in at the time. But you know, even with that story, that's not even the part that I want to emphasize to people here. When I left that yard, when he told me he didn't want no beef, that everything was cool, I walked away. When I was leaving the yard 2, I had 2 different individuals meet me at the gate. One of them was named Indo. We call him Indo. He had the keys when Mike Wilson, who had the key for the BGF, the Black Guerrilla family out of Oakland, when he went home, he left the keys to Indo. Indo had the yard for the BGF out of Oakland. Indo pulled me up. He was like, man, what's up? You good? I was like, yeah, I'm good. He goes, man, I seen the move. He goes, you know, I got you. And I was surprised. I mean, we've been cool. I've been to the Rastafari meetings with them. I've known them. I have respect for them. They have respect for me. But at the same time, we all understand that there's politics in prison and everybody draws the lines on where they're willing to cross. So when he said, hey, I got you, I was surprised, but at the same time, I was grateful and really appreciative that he had love and respect for me to even consider that. But he's like, yeah, you know, when I seen the move, I had all my peoples posted. And when he said that, I turned around to look at the yard 2, and sure enough, all the BGF that was on that compound was all posted around where we was at in strategic situation. Because if anybody know about the BGF, they're a branch of the Black Panther Party. They're militant minded. They study politics. They study revolutionaries. You know, when I was with them, we read Che Guevara, Mao Tse-tung, Stalin, and all the rest of it. You know, they're very educated and they're very disciplined. It's mandatory that they all stay in physical shape. They're working out all the time and they're studying literature all the time. As far as gangs, street gangs and stuff go, they're the upper echelon of them. Even at one point in time in history, they were like the big homies for all the blacks. But you know, he told me, you know, he seen the move and it looked like, and he was concerned, but that he had my back, that if any of those, if it looked like those Islanders or whatever was gonna jump me, all the BGF was gonna get into it. Well, after that conversation with him, the homie Slim from East Coast Crip, and somebody corrected me, they're not out of Long Beach. And so just to keep myself from getting it wrong, they're out of California, but they're called East Coast Crip. The homie named Slim. And he's like one of the big homies from an East Coast Crip. But me and Slim had gotten close through the course of the time, and he approached me. He's like, what's up, cuz? I was like, what's up, homie? He goes, shit, you know we got you. And that's really the point of this thing right here. Like, I don't know how I got here, but it's just emphasizing to you, you don't gotta be in there and join any of these prison gangs. You don't gotta be in there to run with any group or anybody. Be you, be a man. Conduct yourself with integrity. Doing so, you're gonna grab people that are like-minded are gonna gravitate towards you, and you're gonna have an opportunity to build real relationships. And in there, when somebody really fucks with you, they're gonna fuck with you. They're gonna have your back, regardless if you're a gang member or not, independent or color you are or whatever. If they respect you, they're gonna have your back. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to carry myself in that manner where I allow these men around me to have love and respect for me, that were willing to be on the front line with me if shit didn't go well. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you. Welcome to the USP.